You're hanging out in the House of Sunny podcast, where it's always sunny, mostly because of your host, comedian and YouTuber, Sunny Lohman. Want to know what Sunny and her friends are thinking about this week? Well, here she is, Sunny Lohman.
Hey, welcome everybody. I'm here with sidekick Doug, as usual. Hey, Doug.
Hi.
We have a special... we have a special treat for you today. Doug is going to run some joke premises by me, and I'm going to vote on them as not funny, there's something there, or funny. And we may even turn them into jokes on air. So
But I think your third category should be stupid. You said funny, not funny, or fun.
I said not funny, something there, or funny, but we can change not funny to stupid. I'm willing to do that. and this is like a conversation that Doug and I have occasionally together as we run jokes by each other. So we're going to do that for you. But first, we're going to get into some Kavanaugh and Trump news. Today are the hearings, of course. Trump had a UN speech. We'll talk about those things quickly first, and then we're going to get into this kind of joke segment that we've come up with today. But first, let's play the voice message. And I don't know how my sound is going to turn out, you guys, because my mic just completely broke this morning. So I'm going to play this joke. I hope that you can hear it. Let's see.
Hey, Sonny, here's a joke for you. Hope you'll like this one better. Teacher says to the class, whoever answers my next question can go home. One of the boys in back throws his bag out the window. Teacher asks, who just threw that? The boy says, me.
All right. Good one.
Like it.
That was good. All right. If you want to tell us a joke for next week, call the number 707-681-5834 and we'll play it because we play them all. But that one was really great. Thanks, House of Sunny Joke Man.
Yeah, Joke Man coming through.
All right.
I love Joke Man.
I love Joke Man too. A little announcement before we get into the news here. I'm going to take a 1-month hiatus from the podcast, and I'll explain that in a minute. But Doug has said, hey, I want to do it. I was just going to not do it for 4 weeks, but Doug has decided that he's going to try it. So I don't know. I guess it could blow up and it might not happen at all, right?
Yeah, there's a finite chance that nothing happens.
Right. There's a chance that you'll get nothing for 4 weeks here, except we are going to record a couple of things, especially for the Elite Squad while I'm gone. The Elite Squad are our patrons on Patreon, and if you want to become an Elite Squad member, you can go over to patreon.com/House of Sunny. I think you can get into our Elite Squad for just $2 a month, and you will get these special recordings just for them over the next month. But otherwise, I'm going to take 4 weeks off because I'm going to work on some other creative projects, and I'm actually going to disconnect from the grid. I'm going to go offline, no social media. I guess I'm getting email, but that's it. I'm not really going to work. I'm just going to do this creative writing project with Doug, actually, because he's taking on more than he can actually chew this month.
Correct.
But I need a break from the daily news. I think it's very time consuming, and I'm finding it hard to focus on some other projects. So that's why I'm doing that. I'm going to take a month to do that. I think it's good to do that, to unplug from social media. And
by the way, should we take bets on whether you really disconnect from social media? Like, what are the odds right now that you really disconnect?
This is unfair. You don't have any faith in me. You think I'm like an addict that can't hack it.
I put the over-under at 5 days. I'm just saying.
You think you're going to see me on Facebook in 5 days?
Yeah, we'll start to see like just little comments pop up here and there, and then you'll just be full-blown in like 7 days.
We'll see. A month is a really long time. I've done it before for a week, and the first 2 days were hard because your brain is kind of like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. But after that, it got easy. And by the end, I didn't even really want to go back online. So I'm assuming it's going to be similar. But maybe it won't be. Maybe I'll be like totally dying. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, once you get off of it, I can't imagine wanting to come back, but maybe you will.
Maybe I will. We'll see.
I give you I wish you Godspeed.
Godspeed, thank
you. On
you.
this journey.
It's amazing how addictive it is and how stressful it is thinking about quitting it. But anyway, I'm ready to take a break. I need a break from news. The news and social media has gotten really nasty lately, and usually I'm doing videos and writing jokes and stuff, so it doesn't affect me so much. But because I'm not doing that as much, I feel like I'm spending a lot of my day in real negativity, not like negativity for the sake of a joke, which is a different kind of negativity.
No, it's like a state of outrage.
Yeah.
I hate that feeling. Just walking around feeling depressed about things that, when you really think about it, does it really matter? So I go through like a meta process of even determining whether it matters or not. You know what I mean? Like, this Supreme Court thing is so awful.
Once it's over, we won't even, like a month, 2 months from now, it will be totally off our minds. I don't remember what was upsetting me 2 months ago. I'd have to go back to the podcast and listen.
You know what I was thinking, Sonny, is, weren't we talking about child ripping? Wasn't that going to kill everybody?
Yeah, that was so big, right? Nobody's talking about it anymore.
And then there were floods and hurricanes. And remember how that, there were like people floating down the river and everyone was going to die. And no one's even talking about that.
Right. And now it's the Kavanaugh
We had riots in Ferguson. Remember all that? I mean, it's just all gone. Now this is on the...
Yeah. And we've done podcasts now. So we do a weekly podcast. This is the third podcast where we're going to mention Kavanaugh. I mean, it's been 3 weeks now. And it's like big, hot news. And okay, let's get right into it, because what I want to say about it is this. We're not actually... The hearings are going on right now as we speak with his accusers. With that one accuser, Ford or whatever, Christine Ford. She's there. She's testifying. By the time this podcast goes out, it'll be over, and we won't talk about what happened because we're not watching the hearing. We're recording this podcast. But that's neither, it doesn't really matter what happened. I mean, the news is going to be the news. But what I'm disturbed by is this process and the kind of arbitrary accusations that can come out, and it's so obviously partisan. It's so obviously political, and they're just kind of getting away with it. And there's no there. And I'm a political, I pay attention to political details. I'd like to know. I don't even know what I think about Kavanaugh, as a judge. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't have an opinion of this guy as a judge, because all I'm hearing in the news and all the stuff I have to read to keep up on what's going on is all about his goddamn sex life. The fact that he was a virgin through high school and some of college. I know that about him, but I don't know how he would vote on things I care about. How he would rule, I should say, not vote. So that is what this whole circus does. It just completely cheapens our discourse. I mean, that's such a cliche way of saying it, but it really changes the conversation from what matters to what doesn't matter. And it's like Trump and the whole Russia thing. Maybe there's some accusations, but there's no evidence. And so I can't mentally take it seriously.
What do you mean by, I've never heard of that term.
Never heard of evidence. Exactly.
That's a new concept?
Doug, that's this thing that about 40 years ago, I remember when I was really very, very young, I heard adults talking about. Yeah.
So it's like an adult word.
I barely remember it, but
we might as well just forget it.
It's one of my first memories. And then it's just faded.
Between the time we record this and the news, I think Kavanaugh might have committed 7 more gang rapes.
Yeah.
In fact, I hear he's outside my door right now. He's threatening to gang rape me.
The story, the latest accusation of the gang rape parties. I mean, that's insane. I saw somebody, I really liked this comment. Some woman that I know on Facebook said something like, were these kids the deviants out of Clockwork Orange?
Right.
This is not the behavior of normal people. Even kids getting drunk and doing shitty things.
Right.
They don't
This is
have
beyond that.
date rape parties.
Well, and this woman who claims she was a part of this, apparently she would have been in college and these would have been high school students. So she's claiming that she was like a college student going to high school date rape parties.
Yeah. Ooh, I like
And she
those
went to
high school
10 of
date
them.
rape parties. I've been to 10 of these high school date rape parties, ladies. Check it out.
You know, there's a lot of people date raping, and I think I'm just going to go back for the 7th time. I don't know why, but like no one was aware of this. No, no parents or law enforcement was called. Like this was just going on.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so preposterous. They've had other people that knew him that were around, like dozens of his associates at that time, saying this is like crazy. It's out of the Twilight Zone. And then I don't know if you saw this, but this woman's boyfriend came out of the woodwork and said that he had to file a restraining order against this woman that's making these accusations.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here's what we can't let happen. You can't have anybody who's nominated for anything or anyone running for office destroyed, or even just people with jobs, regular jobs. You can't get destroyed because somebody makes an accusation. Because bad people make accusations, or crazy people, or in Christine Ford's case, I think she's a little nuts. I mean, that's the sense I'm getting. She's a leftist activist. She's a little nuts. She kind of knew Kavanaugh. This whole thing came up, and she's like, oh, my God, it was Kavanaugh. She doesn't know. She doesn't know what really happened to her. She's crazy.
Well, do you know 2 men came forward, the
Yes.
Senate that said that they were actually the ones that did it, not Kavanaugh. So, your point, Sonny, I don't know if you heard this point made, but it actually made me think, which was, a lot of the Democrats are saying, hey, this isn't a court. So this presumption of innocence isn't valid in some sense. And I was thinking, presumption of innocence isn't just a legal standard. It's a standard of rationality.
Yes.
When someone makes a claim, whether it's a scientific claim or an accusation against another human, if I say, hey, there are pink elephants on Mars, that's not a true statement until someone disproves me. It's like if I say that, you would say, okay, Doug, where are the pink elephants? Show them to me, show me.
What makes you say that? What makes you think that? I
mean, this is like an epistemological standard that's evolved over, hundreds of years as part of our jurisprudence, but it's not a standard someone arbitrarily came up with. It's a fair and reasonable standard to say when you accuse someone, they are presumed innocent until you prove your case. I mean, this is like, civics 101 or something, but maybe we have to go back to fundamentals, because these senators and representatives, these are not just people on the street. These are like the thought leaders. These are the most powerful people in the world, are saying things like, she just needs to be believed because she's a woman. Like, what kind of a standard is that?
Right.
It's crazy.
You can just destroy anyone with that standard. You can destroy anyone. And that's exactly the kind of standards you have in dictatorships. My whole life, I've wondered, how do things like that happen? How does Stalin take over? How does, it's hard to believe or to understand how Hitler could take power and how a society could end up slaughtering millions of people. And I feel like I'm seeing it now firsthand. I'm seeing that drift in this country with this kind of thing. I mean, if you don't need evidence, if you can just make an accusation and somebody's, it actually tarnishes their reputation or destroys their career or their family life. I mean, that is exactly the kind of epistemological state that a dictatorship is in.
Where the party in power wants a certain end. They have an end goal. Destroy this guy, put this guy in jail, stifle dissent. So they make an accusation, and then you go in front of a kangaroo court that forces you to disprove the accusation, and then you go to jail or get murdered.
Right.
You're exactly right. This is the transition between a country, a nation of law,
a nation of reason, as you said, a nation of reason, and a nation of just arbitrary whim of the dictator. So,
And it's one thing to say, okay, there are flaws in the justice system, which there has to be because it's run by humans, but the fundamental standard based on, reason and rationality and hundreds of years of law and jurisprudence are, those are the standards. We don't always do them correctly, but at least you fall back on those standards. This is different because these people are emphasizing like a different type of standard where now let's throw all that out the window. There's no due process. There's no rights of the accused. There's like the Senator Coons and others just going out saying he has to the burden is on him now to disprove these charges, that are made anonymously. We don't know where, when. I mean, there's no facts. There's no evidence. There's nothing.
I think the Republicans, the answer should have been, rather than, oh no, we want to hear what she has to say. The answer should have been, too late. You've been sitting on this, obviously for political reasons. The hearings are over. We're going to vote. And if she's got something where she can prove this, then she had better get it out in the press in the next couple of days because we're going forward with a vote.
Right. You can't do it this way.
But we're not going to open up the Senate to these arbitrary assertions. We're not going to, reopen the hearings. And Senator Feinstein, you should have known better. If you had something to say, if she had something to say, you had months to submit it. And you didn't. So, it's obviously a ploy and a tactic, and we're not going to stand for it. And then the whole thing just would have gone away, and I guarantee you there wouldn't have been more accusers. The fact that this has turned into a show and a delay has given them time to come up with more quote unquote more accusers, more victims that have no evidence. And now they're like, now you hear the press asking Trump. Trump did a press conference yesterday, and the reporter's like, 3 women have come forward now. Now it's numbers, 3 women can't be wrong, even though, like you said, one was like a college student apparently going to date rape parties in high school with high school students.
Right.
So, and they're like Clockwork Orange deviants.
Right.
Brett Kavanaugh, who's led a totally quiet, normal life since then, is actually a Clockwork Orange deviant.
Yeah, it's like, Sonny, I have 5 people now saying there are pink elephants on Mars. Mm-hmm. So there must be, right? Because 5 people.
Now, when it comes to Bill Cosby, where there's like 80 freaking women saying this happened to them, that's something. And you hear their accounts, and that really does actually, that does make a difference. I do think numbers make a difference. But those people also went
to law enforcement.
Yeah, there were actual reports and things like that. And the news on him, by the way, is he's going to prison.
Correct.
Yeah. So anyway.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Nothing. I think he's going to get like 3 to 10 years or something like that in prison.
Yeah.
Which seems kind of minor. Doesn't seem like a lot of time for raping 1 million women. I don't know how many counts of sexual assault he was convicted of, but.
Well, that's a point that someone made the other day was, why aren't these people in the county or jurisdictions law enforcement arm? Why don't they go and file charges? If these women really witnessed this and there's a statute of limitations, then why aren't they going in there and getting a real police investigation?
I'll tell you why, because as she described it, it's not a crime.
She's not even alleging a crime. Yeah. She's just saying he was there. She was there.
Well, the whole, he's drunk, he's kind of groping at her, and she was scared because it was like he was so drunk, and he was trying to get her clothes off, and he was bigger than her, and she was scared. It's still not, you couldn't really convict somebody of that. Right. I mean, she got away, there was no, in the end, she wasn't raped. It sounds like it was kind of messed up, but not something, I don't know. There's not a crime there. So anyway, I'm not saying it's good. Like if somebody does that, I think, thinking of my own experience that was negative, but way milder than that. And I still thought that guy's a fucking creep. If it went to that level, I definitely think the guy was like a wicked person. But it's interesting that someone came forward and admitted, that was me, I was really drunk, and I'm like a total dick.
By the way, I think Trump, I said this yesterday on my Facebook page, that if I were Trump, I would say, okay, if you don't vote Kavanaugh in, here's my next nominee, and go find the most conservative woman you can find. And it's actually funny because there was an article today, like someone actually has the person. I was reading this. There's this woman, I forgot her name, Barrett maybe is her name, and she's a judge, Amy Barrett. And she's this Catholic conservative.
Yeah.
And she's like adopted Haitian children. She's from the South, Midwest, kind of a thing. So she's kind of beyond reproach or above reproach. And so it'd be great.
You
okay.
think so? She's above reproach, but they'll just come out with arbitrary accusations against her too. Right. She probably gang raped. She's been perfect, but no, she's actually been a submissive and a dominatrix in a dungeon, and she's got a really dark past that you just don't know about yet, Doug.
That's probably true.
All right, let's move on to Trump's UN speech. I just watched it this morning. It happened yesterday or the day before, and I don't have a lot to say about this except it's clear that the main purpose of that speech is just an assertion of American sovereignty. So he said some things that, are kind of nice, and then he kind of, it sounds like a little bit of nationalism. And I'm okay with nationalism of a certain kind. I don't like nationalism that doesn't have, I think being an American patriot is different than a lot of other countries because we actually have something to be proud of. And I would say similar to most Western countries. But I wouldn't be like nationalistic so much about, I don't know, New Guinea. I don't know. Like we used to be cannibals and now we're like a socialist dictatorship and we suck. There's really nothing there. Maybe you have a nice. Wow,
you really have it out for the New Guinea people. They're cannibalistic socialists.
Maybe you have a nice flower or bug that no one else has. You can hang your hat on that.
Be very proud of that. That's right.
Yeah. But anyway, so, you could say if you were like anti-nationalism, you might get a little bit creeped out by what he said at times. But I think in today's context, where where the left is pushing for this globalist situation where, just look at the EU. These unelected bureaucrats are running everything, and they want that for the world. They want, this court, the ICC, the International Criminal Court, to be able to try Americans and convict them and imprison them or maybe even kill them eventually because people that we have no say over are on this court making up laws and rules for Americans.
Right.
And Donald Trump explicitly rejected that International Criminal Court, which I was glad to see. And then, this is the kind of thing they're trying to achieve. These, of course, people would love to have power over Americans. Of course, that's the ultimate, right? And just take over the world. It's literally that I'm going to take over the world.
Sonny, someone once said, everybody wants to.
You have to be totally from our generation to know that song. That's Tears for Fears, everybody. Tears for Fears.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good band.
Great band.
So that is kind of what he was rejecting. And I think my favorite moment was halfway through, he says, the best throughout the entire thing was when the camera panned onto the different nations' faces, the representatives.
I love that.
By far, the most entertaining part of the speech was that. So you can actually see the reaction of Iran and North Korea to whatever he's saying about them. And the best by far was when he said, Germany is going to be totally energy dependent on Russia if they don't change course. And the camera pans over to the little Germany crowd, and there's like 5 of them. And they are 5 of the most stereotypical Germans you've ever seen, right? I mean, they're total Dieters. They're just Dieters. They got the little glasses and the like slicked hair, and they're total soy boys. You know what I mean? Just
like the guy in Indiana Jones, the guy with the round glasses.
Yes, it's that guy. And
Mr. Jones.
They look at each other and laugh and shake their head, at Donald Trump. Their reaction to him is just condescending, elite,
The Trump.
He is so stupid. He doesn't know.
I love it.
Yeah, so that was a good moment. What I like, Trump is not a good speaker when he's reading. It's really stiff. But it's also clear he didn't practice at all.
Or maybe he did.
No, he's been better. I mean, he tripped over his reading a couple of times. It wasn't smoothly spoken at all. And I'm thinking, here's the president of the United States giving a speech at the UN. This is a fairly important speech. He's talking to all the world and all the world's leaders. Uh-huh. And he's like, I don't need to practice.
Screw these guys.
And that's why we love Trump.
Right? The UN. Who cares about the UN?
It's just, oh, fuck, I'm busy. I got an appointment with South Korea. I got an appointment with Mexico.
No one cares about the UN, believe me.
Yeah. I can read. No
Everyone
big deal.
Agrees.
Right.
Didn't they all laugh when he was talking about like the booming economy in the United States, claiming it's like this is the greatest economy in the history of the United States, and everyone started laughing.
Yeah.
And he stopped and said, "Boy, I didn't expect that reaction."
That's exactly right. And he smiled. He's like, "Oh, okay. I didn't expect that reaction." And then everyone laughed at his casual like calling out of that reaction. And again, that reaction was really nice too. And one thing I do appreciate about Donald Trump is he's not scripted and he's not polished. And I am so sick of that in politics. Mm-hmm. I don't think I have listened to a president give a speech at the UN ever until Donald Trump did it the last 2 times, because it's boring as fuck.
Right. It's just talking points.
Just slicksterism. And then you got a guy like Trump who's willing to say, hey, we're spending all this money to protect you from Russia, and then you go into a pipeline deal with them? This doesn't make any sense. Like, he's pulling the curtain back on these. He's not being slick and nice and cliched. And, it's a breath of fresh air. Even if it's awkward and I don't totally agree with him all the time, I actually like his style. And it's funny to me how many people I know who don't like him merely because of his style.
Oh, right.
And I like him, like when he was running in the primary, the only thing about him I liked was his style.
Exactly.
I thought he was going to be a total Democrat. I thought he was a liar. I thought everything he said was bullshit. But I liked his style. I liked his un-PC, unscripted, unslick way. I thought it would be very good for the country. And so now that he's proven to actually not be a Democrat in Republican clothing, and he's actually trying to achieve his campaign promises, whether you like them or not, whether you like those promises or not, he meant them, which shocks me. But I still like his style. I think it's really good that we have a human being in office.
Well, don't you think that one of the premises of the left is this myth of the majestic central planner?
Yes, right.
These brilliant, faceless bureaucrats that, they always have the right things to say, and they're almost like beyond human. They're almost like these automatons or something, and they're brilliant, and they're looking out for everyone, and they're in Brussels or the UN, having these high-level talks, and there's this etiquette involved and all this. It's like he just pulls the curtain back on that. Like, these are a bunch of idiots. These are a bunch of apparatchiks and bureaucrats.
They're people.
They're people.
They're human beings, and they're flawed, and then maybe they're corrupt, but they're human beings.
And let's just talk about, it's like he's talking about the issues.
Yeah.
Like, instead of just these really abstract talking points where nothing means anything, it's just show. He's like, why are you doing this deal with the Russians when we're paying money to protect you? That's just that's what's brilliant about it, is that there are real issues. There's real things to talk about, and they're just shocked when he makes it plain, when he speaks plainly.
Yeah.
Because they're not used to that. They're just used to bullshit talking points that mean nothing, and then in the back room they go make a deal when it's time to make a deal.
Yeah, now we can see Angela Merkel as a dumpy, chubby German woman who should be home in the kitchen making strudel instead of running the country.
Exactly.
I mean,
she's husky.
You can picture her in an apron making strudel. That's a
absolutely.
human being, and she's a human being, and she's deeply, deeply flawed intellectually.
Apple strudel?
Yes, I think so.
Is there other fruit strudels? So you could have cherry strudel, maybe?
I think you can have other fruits, but I don't know what the German thing to do there is. But apple strudel is definitely good. I'll take it.
Got this in my mind now.
I bet she can make a mean strudel. Every German woman probably can.
These women know strudel.
Yeah. Okay, we can move on to jokes now. If you've got your jokes
That's it
ready.
for all that shit.
Yeah, let's stop talking about news, man.
Well,
I'm ready to start my 4-week hiatus early.
Well, I think part of the inspiration for this was this almost feels like so stupid. This personally, at least, this whole show trial that's going on is so stupid, and it's almost so beyond the pale that it's hard to even take it seriously and dignify it.
Yes.
So it's like, let's just laugh for a while.
It's like watching the 24/7 news on preparing for a storm that never comes.
Right. Yeah, at some point you're just like,
oh my God, Category 10 hurricane coming. Oh no, wait, it's downgraded to a 3, but it's still going to be rainy. I'm just so sick of it.
If Kavanaugh goes down, okay, some other conservative will get on the court. Great.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Democrats are trying to do here, but anyways, what's
the ticker saying right now, Doug, on the Kavanaugh hearings? Doug is watching an over-under kind of like a constantly moving. He's not watching the hearings. He's watching a ticker on the odds of whether or not Kavanaugh gets confirmed.
It's called predictit.org. So go to predictit.org, and it's actually really interesting because if you want to just cut through all the noise, just go to where people are placing their money.
Yeah.
And this is on all politics.
Right? Money talks. So it's like the market. Doug is he knows how to watch financial markets. It's kind of the same principle, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like gambling. You could be really for a team or against a team, but if you really want to know what's likely to happen, go look at the spread, because that's where when people put money on something, they've let their biases.
Homework, right.
Yeah, right. So this market called Predictit, you can bet on this stuff, and so the best way to see what's likely to happen is to watch the odds. And right now, so Kavanaugh to be the next SCOTUS justice, this morning he was 60% yes, and now he's down to 45% yes.
Ooh,
so it's hovering around 50-50. So I assume that this hearing is not going good for him. And so I haven't watched any of the hearing. I'm only watching the ticker. So I'm only by the way, the Republicans are still 70% to keep the Senate. So if that's true, then Trump could go ahead with my plan and just say, okay, Kavanaugh's done. Guess who's coming up next, folks? Someone you'll hate worse. So
yeah, totally.
Anyways,
I hope he does that.
Posted on this.
I hope he does that, even though I'm not religious. I'm generally not in favor of some of the. I don't know. These super conservative judges don't really scare me because I think for the most part they're constitutionalists.
You know who made a great point, Sonny? Did you see that Ben Sass speech in one of the Kavanaugh hearings where he basically said the entire problem is that the Congress has delegated its responsibility, its power to the Supreme Court and the executive.
Yeah, right.
And rather than having these, huge debates and ferocious debates in the Congress over issues that we care about, Roe v. Wade or immigration or whatever, which was the intention of the founders, was that policy is made by the Congress. They're all just saying, no, we're not going to do anything. So all this stuff gets done by executive order, and then it's decided by courts.
Right.
And so then we have all this extra attention paid to these things that aren't really, really what you just want is a reasonable justice that can interpret the Constitution. Everything shouldn't turn on one guy or what the president wants to do. The president shouldn't be just throwing out executive orders. This should all be done in the Congress, where those are the people we're closest to, our representatives. So he made a great speech. I encourage everyone to go.
That is a great speech. I did see that. It's worth seeing.
I hadn't really thought of that, like how much the Congress has defaulted on its responsibility,
and how that has turned the attention and the emphasis on the presidential candidate and the court candidate.
Yeah.
And your senator and your representatives aren't as important. But the other thing to watch is this movie series that you can see on Facebook or on YouTube called The Swamp.
Oh.
It's this little I think they keep releasing episodes too. I don't know how many they've released, but it gives you a sense of what it's like to be a congressperson and how freaking powerless and ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
And how the staffers really run things. The swamp literally runs things, and you can be a new congressman and you don't have any power, and all you can do is raise money. If you can raise money, you can get more power, but your first job when you arrive as a new person there is to start raising money.
They give you a list with goals.
Yeah.
Like, here's what you have to do. You have to raise this much money.
And if you can't or don't, you're totally marginalized and you have no power. So it's pretty crappy how our system works. Let's blow it all up. Okay, let's move on to jokes. What do you have in your joke file? And I'm going to say it's A, stupid, B, there's something there, or C, that's funny.
All right. So just so everyone knows, for years I send myself with the idea of building a comedy bit, like a stand-up comedy bit, and for writing and everything else, I send myself thoughts or premises all the time. Like every day I'm sitting at a gas station and I think, oh, that's funny. So I send it to myself. So I have this directory of all these crazy joke premises and actual jokes. And then sometimes I call Sunny and we just go through them and she says, that's dumb.
Yeah.
There's something there, or that's funny right away. And then we kind of have worked on it at times with the idea or intention of, let's make this into like a real joke that you could use in a stand-up bit. But so I'm going to go through some of them are premises. So here's one I thought of the other day.
Some of these, Doug, right, are going to be not suitable for work.
Yeah, I'd say so. And I'm going to intentionally put some dumb ones in because I don't want to just give you what I think are my best ones. I think I'm going to give you some dumb ones. To me,
because sometimes those dumb ones, there's some good stuff there.
So here's one that I think is like right away great.
Okay.
So why did the gay guy apply for a job at the post office?
Why?
He was told he could handle mail packages.
Yeah, that's a good joke. That's a really good joke. And that's a fully formed joke. You don't need to do anything with that.
I think that could be a stand-up joke. That's more of, is that a dad joke?
No, that's a dad joke. Yeah, that's a dad joke, yeah. But it's a really good dad joke. So what were you doing that made you think of that joke?
I have no idea. I had a note to myself that said mail packages because I heard someone say mail package, and instantly my disgusting mind went to mail.
Wait, that's a penis. That's not a box. That's a penis.
And then I thought handling mail packages. I said, so
Perfect.
That's kind of how that developed.
Okay.
So a lot of these are dad jokes because I am a dad and because I make jokes.
Yeah. Okay.
So here's one I thought of
people might not know what dad jokes is.
Tell them.
I don't even know where it began. Did it begin with that series on YouTube?
That's what popularized it for sure.
Okay, so definitely what popularized it is there was this sort of, I don't know, group of guys that started this dad jokes channel, and they're comedians. And it was just a way for them it's a competition. So two people sit across from each other and they tell each other these dad jokes, which are, puns usually, or usually they're jokes that make you groan and laugh at the same time. That's a dad
joke. You can't
joke.
Stop laughing.
And if you laugh, you lose a point. Right? The person who told the joke gets a point. So you have to try really hard not to laugh. And they're really funny videos, and now everyone's doing it after this group of guys who are also stand-up comedians. It was like a place for them to bring these jokes that aren't really stage jokes. They're dad jokes. Okay.
So you gotta also maybe part of this is you gotta try not to laugh. This is a dad joke. So where was the factory worker with irritable bowel syndrome?
Where was the factory worker with irritable bowel syndrome? Where?
Between shits.
That's so a dad joke. That's perfect. Oh my God. That's great. Okay.
All right.
Hit me with another one. That one's funny.
Why did the scientist blow up the steeple?
Why?
He wanted the Nobel Prize.
Oh my God. You're good at this, Doug.
Yeah, this is weeks of work, so okay. Here's probably one of my last dad jokes.
Okay.
Why do anti-Semitic Germans sneeze when asked who controls the world?
Okay, hang on. I got to repeat this. Why do anti-Semitic Germans sneeze when asked who controls the world? A Jew.
A Jew.
A Jew. Yeah, I got that one before you even said that.
Okay, so that's bad.
That's good. I could see that being like a knock joke too.
It's too long of a question, you think? I got to do
The question is too complicated that you have to like repeat it in your mind, but also it's too obvious maybe.
Yeah, it leads you right into it.
Yeah, it's too obvious. So it should be it should be an anti-Semitic joke. It should be, who's running the world? Like it should be like that. A Jew.
A Jew.
Yeah. That's what it should be.
So I thought of a sport that I could, a new Olympic sport that I could compete in.
Okay.
Unsynchronized swimming.
Just because you suck at it? Is that the point?
Yeah, it would just be like, you're just in a pool.
Dude, I almost just spit my coffee out when you said that. I was watching, I put on my Facebook wall, my profile, my personal profile. There's this video running around, you could probably get it, where this guy is doing karaoke, and he chooses for karaoke the song Tequila.
Oh, I saw that.
It's just like, and that goes
for
on
like
for 5
minutes,
and then it's Tequila, and then you're expecting him to actually, like, he's only got one word. You're expecting him to put something into that, and he just goes, Tequila.
That's so great. And people are walking by, in the bar, nothing's going on.
Yeah, you're just wondering, like, this is obviously not on purpose. Like, this guy is really doing that, and somebody recorded it. It's not meta comedy. Somebody really did that. Great stuff. Okay, what's your next one?
So I wrote a script. I work on like movie scripts. I wrote a script for you, and the Taken series.
The Taken series with Liam Neeson. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's called Taken 7. Fuck it, keeper.
That's kind of a dad joke, although it's not a pun. It's like there's something there.
I think that's a good stand-up joke.
Yes. That's a stand-up premise, but it needs work.
Because like he's had it. Like I've told you not to go to Europe.
I think it's more like I'm the kind of dad that rather than go save my daughter, I'm like, fuck it, keep her.
Right?
You know,
Like seriously, like I just had to
told
kill
her not to go.
78 like Croatian mobsters for you, and now you want to go back to Europe.
Right.
I've had it. Fuck it. Keep her.
Right.
So this is a good premise. I was thinking this today. I think women hate other women, and I think that's why they want to be with men. So I don't think women really like men. I just think they hate women so much they rather be with men.
Yeah, that's a good setup.
Don't you think? Because the women I've known,
there's a kernel
and I think everyone
of
can relate
truth
to
in
this.
that. And there's a kernel of truth in that in two ways. One, women don't get along. And two, women don't really like men. Right? I mean, they're dirty. They're like, they're not organized.
No one likes men.
They put shit in the middle of the floor that you have to walk over. Right? Like, ladies don't do that. So, like, having a female roommate, it's so easy. They clean up after themselves. They take care of the chores. Like, this is why people got together and did communes so that they could, like, raise kids with other ladies around, because men drive you freaking crazy.
That's horrible.
But women drive you crazy, too. You can't be around them that much.
Well, aren't women so competitive with each other? You know, like every time, you know, in my history when I've been with women, you know, kind of behind the scenes, it's like, oh, that blah 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 blah, that woman, blah blah blah. But, you know, they're just so catty and like mean spirited. Sometimes they just seem like they have this almost primordial competitiveness with other women.
I think that is immature women have that. It's definitely a high school, junior high school kind of vibe. There are adult women like that, for sure. But I think it's a maturity thing, because there are a lot of adult women who aren't like that anymore.
So maybe it's like part of the mating ritual with like women competing.
Yeah, maybe when you're, you know, and I've especially noticed since becoming a mother, and now I'm interacting more with people with children, women with children, that the number of women with kids who are like that is much smaller. So I think you have kids and you kind of you're not competing anymore. You're just freaking trying to survive. You're not competing with other women. You can barely get your hair done in the morning.
So now you kind of want to hang out.
Now you need the support.
You need women.
You need women. You need the support. So I think having kids matures you as a person. You can't be so self-absorbed. You become more family oriented. Your priorities shift. I think it's a maturing that happens. And so I think it's an immaturity quality, because even women whose kids kind of grow up and then maybe they get divorced and they're starting to care about how they look again, and they're starting to be out there on the scene, I don't see them as being competitive either. So I think that it's a maturity thing.
So maybe the joke is no one really likes men, because you kind of start with that, and maybe it goes backwards more to...
I don't know, because I think women, I mean, at the end of the day, I really do like men. It's just, there's a kernel of truth there where, like...
Are you the kind of girl that always had male friends, too? Because I know a lot of girls like that.
Yeah, definitely.
They just seem to like being around men more.
I always had male friends. But part of the reason for that is that women were really difficult to get along with. So, I mean, I had trouble with that. I don't know, really. I know that there are some girls who don't have trouble with that, even in high school. But I think that's the rare thing. I think most girls have trouble with that. If you're cute at all, you had trouble. So, and I was dang cute. So I had trouble, and I don't know. Guys are funny. They're great. They're a lot looser. They're a little less sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I can be more myself, which is a little more blunt and kind of... You know, I've actually got to the point where I've pissed you off with my personality.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
I know.
You don't have to elaborate on that, but anyway.
Yeah. Okay, here's another
All right.
premise then. Do you notice like people, like the only racial, ethnic kind of group you can make fun of, it seems like, is Chinese people? And I was thinking like, why is that?
Okay.
And I think it's because the Chinese don't care because they'll just buy your house and like kick you out.
Yeah. Because they're the superior race.
Yeah, they're just so
Yeah.
good at everything. They're like buying the world right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, make fun of us, whatever. We'll just buy your house.
Yeah, they kind of are like that. They're like, they don't really care what we say about them. They're taking over the world.
So maybe that's not funny. Maybe that's really sad.
They're
and
just kind of
horrible.
looking at us like ants. Did you say something?
Exactly. Did you say something? Yeah, because I'm buying your fucking neighborhood.
That's right. Oh, and I own all the businesses around you, and everything you're wearing came from my country.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
The
Hey,
pens
you know that
and the
phone in your
Post-it notes
hand?
on your desk, like everything you use and touch comes from China.
You know that racist Chinese joke you just sent on your phone? Yeah, I fucking made your phone. And now I'm
Right.
going to take it.
It's literally did you say something? Like they're not even paying attention to us. Yeah.
So I like that.
There's
So
something there.
you agree there's something there.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a joke.
The only flaw in that is that white people are the other people that you can make fun of. So I don't know if you can incorporate that. Maybe you can talk about whites.
Yeah.
So the setup isn't they're the only race you can make fun of. It's just, have you ever noticed that when you make fun of Chinese people, they don't care?
There you go. That's
Yeah.
a perfect way to set that up. Have you ever noticed? Why is that?
Yeah.
Because
They own everything on your body. They made your phone. They own your life.
and if you need an organ, you can probably buy one from them.
Yeah.
You know.
They also, there's so many of them. There's something about that.
Yeah, they have like billion people. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, whatever.
Right. We'll just, we're replaceable.
All right, so here's another one. Women don't want to be seen eating. You notice that?
Yeah.
I think it's funny that I've been in a lot of different circumstances where women won't order something or they won't eat or whatever. It's like there's something really taboo about women eating in public and going to the bathroom. So it's kind of cool sometimes when you hear a girl who's like, yeah, I'll have the fries and, I'll take a Miller Lite or something.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a very small percentage of chicks. That's my problem with
Really?
that joke. Yeah. I don't know any women.
There's no joke there. There's something about this idea that women are real sensitive about. Okay, that's
Yeah,
stupid.
I don't think there's any funny there. I don't know. I'd have to think about it harder.
Yeah,
but,
okay, good.
all right.
I wanted to give you some real iffy ones.
Yeah,
'cause
that's a dud.
All right.
Not necessarily like you could sit with that dud and there might be something there, but it's a dud right now.
It's got to be put in some other context.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is something I wrote down last week. Vampires are dummies. They haven't learned anything.
I don't get it.
So, you know how like vampires are always seen as these like sort of cunning, beguiling characters in these movies and these the vampire
Yeah.
series and all that stuff. But when you really think about it, these things have been around for thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
And they're just dumb. I mean, they haven't learned anything. Don't they just sit in the coffin and then come out and bite people and that's all they do?
Nothing about this is funny to me.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, they don't know, but okay, I don't know.
All right.
Edward Cullen knows some things.
Vampires are dummies. All right. Well, so I thought this is a funny thought I had. So, you know how like people, like 80% of internet usage or something is porn.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, like wireless communications, there's radio waves going through the air, ones and zeros. You know where this is going.
I know where this is going.
So there's like radiation in the air, these like digital ones and zeros that get reconnected in your phone, and the image of like, a boob or a vagina or something. Or I'm sorry, not vagina, a front hole is the PC term now.
Yeah.
But anyways, it just strikes me that we're all like immersed in digital
it's
porn
everywhere.
radiation.
We're surrounded by porn. It's in the air.
It's literally like we're immersed in porn radiation.
There's boobies in my face right now.
Exactly.
Yes. I got where you were going with that immediately. That's a good one. That is a really good one.
See, I wouldn't think you would have thought that was funny. This is a great example of where I didn't think that was that great, and you really thought it was good.
Yeah. But, I mean, you can make that super funny.
Yeah, that could be a whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And,
I was thinking...
And no one has thought of that. No one's thought of that. So, like, you got the surprise of that joke is good because it's like, I've never thought of that before. That these Wi-Fi signals are everywhere around me. I've kind of thought about that, but I've never thought that the content in the Wi-Fi is actually that is a nice connection. It's a new surprising connection, and it's funny because it's boobs and penises, which it's always funny. Always funny.
Which is weird in of itself because the idea that men are stimulated by the image of a boob is funny to me.
That's funny.
It's like
that's
a
funny
picture
premise
on a phone.
Right there. This is a whole nother joke if you don't have that written down.
I do because I was going to say my phone, or as I like to call it, my porn vessel. It like radiates this image of a boob, and somehow my brain reacts to that. I just think that's a kind of an amazing thing.
Yeah, it is kind of an amazing thing. Would you react to a boob-shaped object that isn't a boob?
I don't think you would. I mean, there's something really evolutionary about like this image of this stupid picture of a boob. It's like every man.
It's just a soft, fatty piece
everything.
Of flesh.
Right.
You wouldn't get that reaction out of like a love handle. Here,
exactly.
I'm going to take a picture of
Put
this
a marker.
woman's
Here's a love handle with a marker dot in it.
Yeah. Or, maybe she has like a bug bite.
Yeah. That's like, that's
love
gross.
Handle. It's gross. But if it's a boob.
It's like, wait, what? Everyone drops
shape,
everything.
Same look.
Hey, come here and look at this, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, look at this. It's just a bug bite. Okay, forget it.
Yeah. That's funny.
So is it ever okay to ask your wife to wear a burqa, not for religious reasons?
Just so you don't have to look at her.
Yeah, just like, you know what?
I'm not a Muslim, but I've been thinking about asking my wife to wear a burqa.
Just, you know what? Go ahead and put this on. I just want to see your eyes.
I'm so sick of her.
Isn't that horrible?
It is horrible. Like, that's the joke of one of those, some guys do that shtick where they're just assholes, and that's their kind of on-stage persona.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy, but I think that's kind of fun. Because the other thing that came out of this was, maybe we've talked about this, is the idea that I want, how women are banned from driving in Saudi Arabia? Like, I want them to ban driving for men here so that I don't have to do anything.
So you don't have to run errands anymore.
Right.
Yeah, we talked about that because it was funny so that was crazy because you called me with that joke. And I'm like, I made a meme about that. I came up with that exact same joke when that first happened, where they finally gave women the right to drive. And the meme was a picture of a couple Saudis standing there, and I wrote the words were something like, now women can run our errands. Something like that.
Exactly. Like, what were these men thinking?
Like, I'm supposed to be all excited that women can drive? That sounds like a goddamn chore to me.
I would say women can only drive. Like, don't come in the house.
Right.
I don't want to really talk to you.
Right.
But can you just run errands?
Right. In a burqa.
In a burqa, exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay. Humans make great tools.
Is that it? That pause got just long enough. I'm like, he doesn't have a punchline there?
That's it.
I don't
Because
get
it's a
it.
double,
What were you
it's
thinking
double
of?
meaning.
What were you thinking of?
Well, like humans are assholes.
Yeah.
So I was thinking like, God, humans are such tools. And then I was like, humans make great tools.
Their hands work well too.
Yeah. So that's not that funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I told you this one, like I was like really vigorously trying to kill flies over the last few weeks because it was such a fly season.
Okay.
And I was really outraged by these flies, just like these goddamn flies. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. Yeah.
And my thought was, they are known as flies. Like, why am I outraged at a thing whose name is fly?
It's
like,
flying.
What else should they do?
Yeah, but you're not actually outraged about what they do. I don't know. Yeah, that one's kind of a dud for me.
All right. So, you know how in parking lots now there's there's 98 spaces reserved for not just handicapped people, but now it's like combat veterans and pregnant women.
Yeah.
And like the marching band and all sorts of stuff. I was thinking like I have a new idea for a sign. It's combative pregnant women.
They get their own parking space.
Or I was going to say pregnant women engaged in combat. Like women come to the parking lot like fighting each other and they have to be pregnant.
Yeah, that's kind of a dud.
Okay.
But there's something there.
There's something there about the parking space.
The premise
right?
of the parking space is a good one because, yeah, that's kind of a new thing.
Have you gone to a space where there's like 50 spots open in front? And there's like 100 people parked in the back of the lots?
Yeah, and the front spaces are reserved for all these special people.
All right, there's something there. I just got to figure it out.
Yeah, there's something there. Yeah, there's something there. Hey, so we're coming up on the hour here. Do you want to talk about what you might be talking about over the next month with your shows? Or talk about what you might be doing with it?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's going to be, the premise is more, you'll definitely get my political takes, but I have some friends. And the kind of general idea is like with friends like these. And I'm going to call some of my character friends who are sort of like interesting, fascinating, funny kind of characters. And I want to call them and talk to them about all sorts of different topics, probably topics you and I don't cover.
Yeah.
Things like, we'll probably talk more about things from a guy perspective, and then also things like some economics, finance, but also like, I've got a guy who's got great takes on alpha males and pornography and stuff like that. This guy is unbelievably funny.
Okay.
And I've got I think my first topic is, and I was going to go through this with you today, but we're running out of time. But one of my first topics is, why couldn't you get elected today? And so we're going to talk about our high school antics.
Yeah, what you did that screwed it up for you. Oh, yeah.
Because I have like probably 10 stories I could tell you guys right now.
Oh, that's a great show. I would like to submit mine. Maybe that you said that you would maybe call me and check in with me.
Yes, we're going to call Sunny and check in on her progress.
And maybe when you do that one, you can call and I'll come up with a couple of things I've done that
why
that would
couldn't you
ruin
get
my
elected?
election to office. Because yeah, that's a good one.
Because I have some borderline criminal stuff.
And maybe our elite squad can write in their answers to that too. We can ask them.
Oh, if you've got a good one, yeah.
We can ask them to submit stories of why they couldn't get elected.
Maybe we could do, because I was going to call some friends about this, but I don't know if we could ever do a call-in, but that would be fun to have some people call in and give us
so fun, yeah.
But it's going to be stuff like that. It's going to be more, a little bit more, it'll be political, but a little less political, probably more like crazy character, guy talk. Because I have musician friends, artists, traders, just all sorts of weirdos that we're going to call.
All right, sounds good. So that's it for our show today. Thanks for joining us. I don't want to gush, but I love you guys and I'm going to miss you, especially my elite squad. But join Doug for Doug's World the next few weeks. And I think that would make it November 1st when I'll be back. So that'll be 4 weeks from now. I'll be off the grid. I'm not even going to be on Facebook. So, Although if you listen to Doug, I will be on Facebook. It'll just be 7 days later, right?
Yeah, it's not a month. Don't buy that.
But Doug's going to do his best to do a show like usual. And if you are in our elite squad, you're going to get a couple of special recordings that Doug and I are going to do tomorrow. We're going to take a couple of videos that we've seen and kind of do a video response, an audio response to a couple of outrageous leftist videos. And those are going to go to our patrons only. So go over to patreon.com/House of Sunny, become a patron, and you will get those videos too. Otherwise, we'll see you November 1st.
Thanks for listening to the House of Sunny podcast. Go check out Sunny on YouTube at her channel, House of Sunny. Everything Sunny does is fan-funded, and because she's likely to get kicked off and demonetized on every platform at some point, please support her over at patreon.com/House of Sunny. Become one of Sunny's elite squad and have access to behind-the-scenes footage, t-shirts, special events, and more.